Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching and Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channels. This is the um, next in our series. This is I believe we're going into the 19th of June, which is actually the day of the King of the Ring, 1994, which is a unique time to be a WWF fan, of course, going into King of the Ring. Second year on pay-per-view, not exactly a, stupendous deal here, but also not something that the average fan is going to run from. Bret Hart hyping his upcoming role in the King of the Ring, of course, defending the WWF title against Diesel at the event, and continuing to be a guy who wants to continue to fight, basically saying he's going to be a fighting champion. Diesel may be bigger, but he's found weaknesses in the big man, and Bret Hart cutting that promo, basically saying he will have backup against Shawn Michaels. Weird that Shawn Michaels would be years later, of course, one of Bret's biggest assets, or adversaries, rather. We go to Jeff Jarrett, who's going to be facing off against the 1-2-3 Kid in the King of the Ring. Jeff Jarrett in an enhancement match here, going forward, pretty basically. And it also includes an interview, as mentioned, with Bret Hart, Ted DiBiase, and The Undertaker as guests on the Heartbreak Hotel, taken from WWE Superstars. We're not going to cover that because we already covered it on Superstars. Jeff Jarrett, though, takes on Gary Sawball, otherwise known as the Italian Stallion. He is the one who also helped the Hardys and people associated with the Hardys to get an opportunity to do dark matches at the time. Jarrett, though, does a lot of strutting and cutting, does a lot of gaga, and eventually manages to hook the figure four, getting a victory. Jeff Jarrett back to the figure four after using the DDT for a little bit. Owen Hart, basically, they hype for Raw. They're hyping for upcoming things. 94, 95, really, actually 93 through 95, probably the roughest in the expansion years of the WWF at the time. Certainly not what one would consider a good run of time by any stretch of the imagination. And kind of getting a little bit out of the way there as we continue on this, the King of the Ring Day 1994. We move to more enhancement matches as we go through here, and that includes, but is not limited to, a Yokozuna and Crush versus Marty Garner and Kenny Hendricks. Hendricks, I don't think we've seen on the enhancement matches before. Marty Garner, who is otherwise known as Champagne on the independent scene, a friend of the Hardys, and so that means probably, at least looking forward, that means the chances are that there will be Hardys Brothers matches upcoming on these particular runs of Superstars and Challenge. Of course, the Hardys starting in 94, I believe at 16 and 18 years old, or 18 and 20, but I'm pretty sure Jeff Hardy was 16 and Matt was 18 or something like that when they started doing dark match stuff, which is just insane when you think about it, that they're still around in 2022 to be that long a career with that type of style as it relates to moving forward here. In any event, as mentioned, really basic stuff here, and trying to get things going in a positive direction. The Hardys are not here, but the team of Crush and Yokozuna, who are challenging at the Rumble for the tag team, or the King of the Ring for the tag team championships, a super basic series of moves. Crush doing the majority of the work. Yokozuna starting to be impeded by his inability to move around seamlessly. Certainly is negatively affected by that inability, and he does end up hitting the Yokozuna splash, but certainly a rough go there. Then we move forward into Duke Josie defeating Joey Maggs. Maggs, belief from the Baltimore area, might have even come up with Gary Sawbaugh, because I know Sawbaugh is from that Carolina, Maryland area, somewhere down in that way. So I don't know if Joey Maggs had done darks for the WWF at this point before or not. But anyway, as mentioned, Ted DiBiase saying that he has the rights to The Undertaker, and it does make sense within the confines of storyline if you go back far enough, because it is Ted DiBiase in 1990 at the Survivor Series, so about 3.5 years before, that brought The Undertaker to the organization. So the idea that DiBiase would have those rights. Also, we see a Hall of Fame induction for various Hall of Famers in 1994. There is a half hour or 40 minutes, or was anyway, half hour, 40-minute Peacock edition of this, or a videotape edition of this that was available on the original network, maybe available on Peacock, haven't checked in a while. Anyway, Duke Josie facing off in an enhancement match here. Josie going at it with Joey Maggs, as mentioned. Josie getting a body slam, couple arm drags, hits the trash compactor, which is a spin through power slam up onto the shoulder, and a victory for Duke Josie. 1-2-3 Kid defeats Austin Steele with a couple of martial arts maneuvers, followed quickly by a swinging DDT. Of course, 1-2-3 Kid, Sean Waltman, still considered a pretty big novel deal at the time, having come in 1993, still managing to be, I guess you'd say, pretty reasonable there, and ultimately getting an advantage there as best he can, and ultimately trying to get things going for himself ahead of the King of the Ring later in the day. And then we go to the next in series of matches, which happens to be IRS defeating Chris Duffy. Duffy, a New England independent, I don't know that you'd say standout, but New England independent regular. I believe also trained by Killer Kowalski. Kowalski, of course, a Hall of Famer and a guy who trained Triple H and China and various other people. The Heartbreak Hotel, as mentioned by Ted DiBiase, where he accents the idea of being victorious over or holding the rights to The Undertaker, Owen Hart in the King of the Ring tournament. Hype video talks about being the king, and he does, and eventually follow through on that. Roddy Piper and Jerry Lawler hyping their match, which isn't very good. IRS and Duffy are very basic. IRS sends him to the outside. Lots of punches, kicks the right off clothesline. IRS eventually joining the $1 Million Corporation and getting a very basic go of it here. Then we kind of go forward, and ultimately, 8 superstars, basic maneuvers, and the King of the Ring is later that day. We see the hype for that, and we continue going forward. We'll be back with more after this.